So stay hydrated, walk with someone else, and don't go to the Trump homes. It seems pretty common and matter of fact in the actual evidence we do have, the text message itself. But you're still saying Miss Washington and this other person aren't telling the truth.
When I received this text message, it was not in accordance with the way we conduct business at FEMA.
That's pretty derogatory stuff there, isn't it?
I have not seen any.
But you know what it sounds like? It sounds like Peter Strzok. Peter Strzok, when he said, oh, I just went into Walmart, I can smell the Trump supporters. Sounds like Joe Biden when he said, oh, the garbage I see is the Trump supporters out there. Sounds like the guys the Democrats had, the professor the Democrats had testify back in 2019 in the impeachment. Conservatives, especially very conservative people, tend to spread out, perhaps because they don't even want to be around themselves. This disdain, this mindset that's in the government where everyone's deplorable, everyone's garbage, everyone is, smelly people at Walmart, and be mindful of those people in Western North Carolina. That's what it sounds like.
What made this hearing so shocking was not just the accusations themselves, but how aggressively Jordan exposed the contradictions. FEMA leadership tried calling the incident isolated, after an instruction to avoid Trump people, but Jordan came armed with receipts, screenshots, testimony, and statements from insiders suggesting something much deeper may be happening inside the federal government. And then came the phrase that sent the entire hearing into meltdown mode: avoid the Trump homes. 4 words that instantly triggered outrage across the country. Jordan refused to let anyone downplay it. While others tried to soften the controversy, he pushed harder, forcing FEMA officials to explain why federal workers would ever consider political affiliation during disaster response operations. The hearing became even more intense when Jordan connected the FEMA controversy to years of comments attacking Trump supporters as garbage, deplorable, or dangerous. According to Jordan, this was not just about one text message, it was about an attitude spreading through elite institutions where conservatives are mocked, dismissed, and treated as second-class citizens. Take a look.
Chair now recognizes the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Administrator Criswell, is Miss Washington lying to us?
Miss Washington has...
She said it's common practice. You said it's reprehensible and isolated. Both statements can't be true. So someone's not giving us the facts, and I'm kind of trying to figure out who's not telling the truth.
The actions that Miss Washington took were unacceptable.
Well, you had another employee. Now, they remain anonymous, but I think one of my colleagues pointed this out earlier. A FEMA official who spoke on condition of anonymity said Miss Washington likely received, quote, very clear guidance from her supervisors. Is that person lying too?
I have not received any evidence outside of the screenshot that Miss Washington directed.
So those two people are wrong. They're not telling the truth to us.
We are currently investigating this.
But that's not what you said. You said
this
is isolated, reprehensible, hasn't happened. This is the only time. And they're saying, nope, 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 it's commonplace.
I am saying that FEMA's mission is to help all people.
Well, let's look at maybe the best evidence
disaster.
we have is the actual screenshot. Can you put the screenshot up on the screen? Let's look at what the text message said. The text message said, implement best practices. Like, this is the best practices. We're going to implement them. And they talk about making sure you're going in pairs or with more than one person, avoid the Trump homes, drink your water, take your towel, coconut waters. So stay hydrated, walk with someone else, and don't go to the Trump homes. It seems pretty common and matter of fact in the actual evidence we do have, the text message itself. But you're still saying Miss Washington and this other person aren't telling the truth.
When I received this text message, it was not in accordance with the way we conduct business at FEMA, and I directed
Even though it said
termination.
best practices, even though it said stay hydrated, which everyone would agree with, even though it said go in pairs, which everyone would agree with, even though it said bring a towel, make sure you're covered. I mean, it said coconut water is the best way to stay hydrated. Even though it said all those practical things, the part about avoiding the Trump homes, that's not a best practice, that's not commonplace. Is that what you're saying?
That is nowhere in our policy, and I can't speak to
I'm not saying it's in your
motivations
policy.
behind what Miss Washington did.
But it was Okay, now her supervisor is this Mr. Hershey. Have you talked to him and to find out if he knew this was happening?
I understand that he was in her chain of command, and this is under investigation.
Have you talked to there's 13 people on this text message. Have you talked to all 13 of those individuals?
This incident is under investigation.
That's not what I asked you. I know it's under investigation, and we know how investigations work when it's done inside the agency. It takes forever. I'm asking, did you talk to the 13 people on this best practices text message?
The Office of Professional Responsibility has taken this, and they are following appropriate protocol to investigate.
Is the Inspector General looking at it as well?
And I have asked the Inspector General to take a look at this.
Any idea when they're going to talk to these 13 people since you have it? Have you talked to, how about you personally? Have you talked to any of these 13 people?
I have not talked to them.
You have not talked to any
I
of them?
have an entire team that focuses on this investigation, and that's what they're doing.
Seems to me it's part of a mindset that's in government. And this is the scary part, because I think it's broader. And you don't have to take my word. Take it what people have said. I mean, this reminds me, we've talked about this many times, but I can think of, well, actually the same person, let's go back to that, the same person who said that this likely received very clear guidance, this other FEMA official, also said this: I've heard from other entities who are serving in North Carolina that there was clear guidance to be mindful, quote, of the types of people who are in Western North Carolina. That's pretty derogatory stuff there, isn't it?
I have not seen any.
But you know what it sounds like? It sounds like Peter Strzok. Peter Strzok when he said, oh, I just went into Walmart, I can smell the Trump supporters. Sounds like Joe Biden when he said, oh, the garbage I see is the Trump supporters out there. Sounds like the guys the Democrats had, the professor the Democrats had testified back in 2019 in the impeachment. Conservatives, especially very conservative people, tend to spread out. Perhaps because they don't even want to be around themselves. This disdain, this mindset that's in the government where everyone's deplorable, everyone's garbage, everyone is, smelly people at Walmart, and be mindful of those people in Western North Carolina. That's what it sounds like. And again, the best evidence is the text message we have, which reinforces that mindset that we have seen from so many people in our government.
The actions directed by Ms. Washington are unacceptable, and when I received this text message, I directed her termination.
Do you have any idea who this other, who this other official is?
I do not, and if you have that information, Congressman, please share it.
I don't have it. You're the one who's got it. You're the one who hasn't talked to the 13 people on the text message.
It has not been raised to me.
All right. I think, Chairman, I yield back.
As the hearing finally came crashing to an end, the tension inside the room was impossible to ignore. The atmosphere felt less like a normal congressional hearing and more like a political battlefield, where one side was desperately trying to contain a scandal, while Jim Jordan refused to let the pressure off for even a second. And for millions of Americans watching at home, the biggest takeaway was crystal clear. Jim Jordan walked into that hearing determined to expose what many conservatives believe has been hiding inside government institutions for years. Throughout the entire confrontation, FEMA officials repeatedly tried to describe the controversy as isolated, unacceptable, and under investigation. But Jordan clearly was not satisfied with carefully rehearsed explanations. Every time FEMA leadership attempted to move past the issue, he dragged the conversation right back to the question that stunned the country. Why were federal employees discussing avoiding Trump homes at all? That question hit like a political earthquake, because to millions of Americans, especially supporters of President Donald Trump, this controversy confirmed fears they have carried for years, that powerful institutions in Washington may no longer be politically neutral. Jordan understood exactly why the issue resonated so deeply. This was not just about one FEMA employee. This was not just about one screenshot. And this was not just about one hearing. To conservatives watching the exchange, it represented something far bigger. A growing belief that Trump supporters are constantly portrayed as extremists, dangerous, ignorant, or unworthy of respect by people inside elite institutions. Jordan tapped directly into that frustration and turned the hearing into a national conversation about trust, fairness, and political discrimination. What made Jordan's performance stand out was how relentless he became once the contradictions started piling up. He repeatedly challenged FEMA leadership over conflicting claims from anonymous officials who allegedly said avoiding Trump supporters was more common than FEMA wanted to admit. And when answers became vague, Jordan pushed even harder.